Hello everyone, this is Chris for the English teaching channel called Learn British English Free on both YouTube and on Facebook. Hello to you. This is another requested lesson. It's from Rosica and it's about school objects. I will try to interpret that as best I can. First of all though, I want to talk again about the school system in the UK. For me it's interesting because it differs to other countries. I'll explain the names of different schools and what age they start at. Before school itself, we tend to attend something called nursery, perhaps. We don't normally call that first stage kindergarten in the UK. That's not normally a word we use, at least when I was young. So we might call it nursery or nursery school, and that would be before primary school, so younger than 5. Primary school tends to be the name of the first school we attend. We should be there for 5 or 6 years from age of 5 to 10 or 11. We then move on to secondary school, which will be from roughly 11 to 16. At the age of 16, we take important exams. Depending on those, we might after that go to college or sixth form. Take care, in the UK, college and university are different, of course. And university, you may attend either after college or after sixth form when you're 18 or older. That's the traditional UK school system as I understand it. Now let's talk about school objects. I wanted to split this talk into more traditional objects, as in things that don't use electricity or modern technology. And the second part, I will discuss quickly devices and things which use electricity more commonly, which have come to the fore in the past 10 to 20 years in the classroom, or online, of course, if we have online lessons now. Some important things that are still that most students will have, especially younger students, are your backpack, which you will carry on your back. We tend to call that a backpack rather than a bag. And within that, depending on your lunch arrangements, you may have your lunch box in which you carry your packed lunch, the food you eat for lunch if you bring it from home. If you don't, you may choose to buy, or you might have pre-arranged meals available at the school canteen or cafeteria. That should normally be possible for lunch, although not normally for breakfast or dinner at most schools. In the classroom then, we normally have, of course, pupils sit on their chairs at desks. And in my experience, we would have desks seating like 2 or more students. So we would not have 1 desk per student. I know in other countries that can be different too. Another important item is your pencil case. So this is a physical thing. We have our backpack on our backs, our lunchbox for our food, and our pencil case for our items that we use in class. This will include our things like pens, pencils, if we still have them, ruler for drawing the straight lines. We might have rubber. We call that an eraser. Sorry, an eraser in other countries is a rubber in the UK to rub things out or delete the pencil, if you like. We may have compasses for drawing circles. That's what we call a compass or a set of compasses. Of course, in the past, we did not have magical phones, at least when I went to school. We might need a calculator for doing mathematics. Those are some important, more traditional items. And around the classroom, we would have had in the past a blackboard with white chalk to write on, and later on a whiteboard with marker pens to write on, which can be rubbed off. Those are some of the more traditional or old-fashioned items that I wanted to talk about. And finally, the modern age, with the way that technology has developed, with electrical items being commonplace in the classroom and devices playing a part in many lessons, depending on how old you are and what the subject is. We talked about the blackboard and whiteboard. Then more commonly nowadays, you may find, we call it interactive whiteboard. This is one that you can perhaps project the computer onto, or you can both type on, and you can maybe in some cases have some magical electrical pens which draw on there too. All that's possible, I understand. The teacher will probably have a computer, like I say, which may project onto the board, or that they can display their work or teaching materials to students on in that sense. And students will probably, in some cases, need to use the phone for certain activities, and maybe even a laptop or other device for materials. That's even possible within the physical classroom, of course, if students are attending class in person, which is the norm still in most cases. We can also talk about hybrid learning, where you have either some students online or in person, or some classes online and in person. In that sense, there are things online like a flipped classroom and other things like that. So all this, I feel, can come under the title of school objects. It depends exactly what we mean. Aside from that, the students should still probably need their textbooks and exercise books. These are the physical books that they will carry in their bags, probably for each subject. A textbook for the teaching material for the subject, and an exercise book for writing in their answers and their exercises. I imagine that's still the case, although in a lot of schools I have not been, at least in the state schools. In the language school where I used to teach, we used to present the materials in class rather than have a specific textbook. But again, that can change. So it all gets rather complicated, doesn't it, with the way things have changed with modern technology. It's such an important part of teaching and relevant to both teachers and students. This concludes my talk about school objects. It's for Rosica, as it was suggested by her on YouTube and on Facebook. I hope you found this useful. As usual, please do write to me in the comments if you have any questions or want to talk about other things which I've forgotten. You're very welcome to. And I will be back soon on Learn British English Free with another requested lesson, which I have in my plan to make. So I will see you then. Thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.